ओम वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। ओम श्री महागणपतये नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्य केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। नमस्ते once again everyone.
नमस्ते गुरु।
नमस्ते गुरुजी।
नमस्ते
नमस्कारम।
नमस्कारम. So we are on
हरि
the
ओम गुरुजी।
Hari Om mantra number 2.1.3. We will chant the mantra and also the last sentence, 2 sentences of the bhashyam which we were discussing in the last class. Okay. एतस्मात् जायते प्राणः मनः सर्वेन्द्रियाणि च खं वायु ज्योतिरापः पृथ्वी विश्वस्य धारिणी No, भाष्यम यथा करणानि मनश्चेन्द्रियाणि तथा शरीर विषय कारणानि भूतानि खम आकाशम वायु अंतबाह्यः आवहादिभेदः ज्योतिः अग्निः आपः उदकम् पृथ्वी धरित्री विश्वस्य सर्वस्य धारिणी एतानि च शब्द स्पर्श रूप रसगंध उत्तरोत्तर गुणानि पूर्व पूर्व गुण सहितानि एतस्मादेव जायन्ते वेरी गुड. So we are discussing the third mantra of the first section of the second Mundaka, which is briefly describing the Srishti Prakriya, the creation of the elements and elementals. For those who have studied Tattva Bodha, this is all just a revision. Because the study of Tattva Bodha would have happened long ago, and with passage of time, the memory also many times fades. So this is a good revision to what we have learned in Tattva Bodha. In the last class, we were discussing the second line of the mantra, which describes the creation of the Panchabhutani, the elements. The mantra says, Kham Vayuhu Jyotirapah Prithvi Vishwasya Dharini. And Bhashyakara is giving the simple meaning of each element. He said, Kham is equal to Akasham, space, which is the subtlest of all elements. Then Vayu, which Bhashyakara explains as Antabhahya Avahadi Bedaha. So here Vayu represents both inner Vayu, which is in the form of Panchapranas, as well as the outer Vayu in the form of the wind, varieties of wind. And in this context, I was mentioning that our scriptures talk of 7 types of Vayu. And there is a sloka which lists these 7 types. Avaha pravahas vivahascha samiranaha paravaha samvahascha udvahascha mahabalaha. So the names of the 7 winds talked about in the scriptures are Avaha, number 1, Pravaha, number 2, Vivaha, number 3. Be careful, it is not Vivaha, it is Vivaha. Vivaha means totally different. Marriage. That is also like a wind only, it blows away the happiness of man and the independence of woman, as they say. When I'm not saying this, I read it somewhere. Definition of marriage. That
but with fire,
blows,
Guruji, with fire.
sorry?
With fire.
With
marriage, with fire also it comes.
With fire, yeah. So it is Vivaha. Okay. Then Samirana, number 4. Paravaha, number 5. Samvaha, number 6. And Udvaha, number 7. And Udvaha alone is the kind of cyclone, etc., which lifts everything. Udvaha means which lifts everything. And that is why it is said Udvahascha Mahabalaha, very, very powerful. Even if we have not experienced, we have seen how cyclones cause devastation. Visuals we have seen, photos and videos and all. So Udvaha Mahabalaha. And therefore Bhashyakara says Avahadi Bedaha. Here the word Bedaha means variety. So 7 varieties of winds like Avaha, etc. And all of them are called Vahaha because Vah Dhatu in Sanskrit means to carry. So Vaha, because they carry things. The wind carries the dust, carries fragrance, carries people, carries even big, big, heavy billboards, Everything the winds carry. Very powerful. So this is the next bhuta, next element. Then the next one is Jyotihi, is equal to Agnihi. Jyotihi is there in the Moolam. Bhashyakara gives the meaning Agnihi, fire, the third element. Then Apaha, Udagam, water. Last one is Prithvi. Bhashyakara translates it as Dharitri. In fact, the word Prithvi we are more familiar with than the word Dharitri. Okay. But Bhashyakara has to give some meaning. So he said Dharitri. Dharitri means that which supports everything. Dhareti sarvan iti dharitri. And then the Upanishad itself explains Vishwasya Dharini. Vishwasya is in the Moolam, which Bhashyakara explains as Sarvasya, meaning everything, both living as well as non-living. All of them the earth supports. So Dharini means supporter. And all these are born out of our Jagat Karanam Brahma. And in the concluding line of the Bhashyam, Bhashyakara explains the attributes of these five elements by way of an incidental note. He says, Etani cha Shabdasparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha Uttarottara Gunani Purva Gunasahitani Etasmad Eva Jayante. So, each of these five elements have got one Vishesha Guna, a specific unique attribute. And what is that unique attribute of each of the elements? They are Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. All these I need not explain because then we will be shifting over to Tattva Bodha class. Right? You all are very familiar. You are senior students now studying Bhashyam. So these gunas are Uttarottara Gunani, which means each later attribute belongs to the later element. So the first attribute, that is Shabda, should be connected with Kham, Akasha. Second one, Sparsha, should be connected with Vayuhu, and so on in the respective order. So the Vishesha Guna of Akasha is Shabda, Sparsha is Vishesha Guna of Vayuhu, etc. And not only that, Purva Gunasahitani. So each of the later elements will carry the attribute of the previous element also. That means there will be a specific, unique attribute or guna for each element. Then that element will also have the attributes of all the previous preceding elements. So, for example, what is this the unique guna of Vayuhu? Sparsha. But Vayu will also have Shabdam, which is the guna of Akasha along with it. So Vayu will have two gunas, Shabda and Sparsha. Then Agni, unique guna of Agni is what? Rupa. So Agni will have three gunas, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. All that again I am repeating so that if in case your memory has faded from Tattva Bodha, this will just kindle your memory, that's all. So the attribute of the previous elements will be called Samanya Guna of that element, and the unique attribute of each element is called Vishesha Guna. So for example, Akasha has Shabda Guna, Vayu will have Shabda Guna borrowed from Akasha, and it will have its own specific guna, Sparsha. Therefore, Shabda Guna will be called Samanya Guna, Sparsha will be called Vishesha Guna. Like that, you can go on developing this idea. So the number of Samanya Gunas will vary from element to element, whereas Vishesha Guna is unique for only one for each element. This is the meaning of Purva Purva Guna Sahitani. And Bhashyakara says that what is important to note is that all these Panchabhutani, the five elements with their respective attributes, are etasmat eva jayante. Etasmat means Saguna Brahmana hai, Maya Sahita Brahmana hai, Sopadika Brahmana hai eva jayante. They are all born of Karanam Brahman. So with this, the bhashyam of this mantra is over. Now we will go to the next mantra, 2.1.4, which is the 26th mantra of the Upanishad. And in the Sangati bhashyam of the next mantra, Bhashyakara is making a general observation regarding the whole section in order to alert us not to get lost in all this Srishti Prakriya business. So it is a sort of a reminder to us about the reason why we are studying the Upanishad, lest we forget. He says the second mantra is the key mantra, which is talking about Brahman, the Nirgunam Brahma, the knowledge of which is the means for liberation. Nirgunam Brahma is the ultimate thing which we have to know for liberation. Later, that Nirgunam Brahma itself will be elaborated in the form of Karanam Brahma and Karya Prapancha, etc. One Nirgunam Brahma alone with Maya becomes Karanam Brahma, and that Karanam Brahman alone evolves into Karya Prapancha. So, Karya Karana Vilakshanam Nirgunam Brahmaiva Karya Karana Rupena Vartate, Vivartate, you can say. And there is the Akaranam Brahman joins with Maya to appear as Karanam Brahma. These are all fundamentals we have actually discussed, and we have to just remind ourselves about all these aspects. So this is what he says in the Sangati Bhashyam. We will read. Sankshepatāh
Sankshepatāh
Paravidya Vishayam
Paravidya-vishayam
Aksharam Nirvishesham Purusham
Aksharam
Nirvishesham
Purusham
Satyam
Satyam
Yam
Divyo Hyamurtaha
Divyo-hyamurtaha
Ityadina Mantrena
Ityadina mantrena
Uktva
Uktva
Punaha Tadeva
Punaha tadeva
Savishesham
Savishesham
Vistarena
Vistarena
Vaktavyamiti
Vaktavamiti
Pravavrite
Pravavate
Sanchepa Vistaroktaha
Sanchepa-visharoktah
Hi
Hi
Padartaha
Padarthaha
Sukhadigamyaha Bhavati
Sukadigamyaha bhavati
Sutra Bhashyoktivat
Sutra-bhashyo-uktivat
Iti
iti
Yopi
yo-api
Upi
Pratamajat
Pratamajaat
Pranat
Pranad
Hiranyagarbhat
Hiranyagarbhat
Jayate
Jayate
Antasya Andasya
Andasya
Antasya
Antarvirat
Antarvirat
Sa
Sa
Tattvantari Tatvena
Tatvena
Lakshyamanopi
Lakshyamanopi
Etasmadeva
Etasmadeva
Purushat
Purushat
Jayate
Jayate
Etanmayascha
Etanmayasya
Ityetat
Ityetat
Adartamaha
Adartamaha
Tam cha
Tam cha
Vishinashti.
Vishinashti
So he says, Paravidya Vishayam Aksharam. So Aksharam Brahma, which is Paravidya Vishayam, subject matter of Paravidya. And why is he using the word Paravidya? To remind us that we are studying Mundakopanishad. And in the first chapter already Paravidya and Aparavidya have been introduced. And what is the subject matter of Paravidya, or what is the nature of Aksharam Brahman, which is Paravidya Vishayam? He says Nirvisesham, without any attribute, which is neither Karanam nor Karyam, which is Purusham Satyam, which is called Purushaha and Satyaha. All these are all words used in the previous section. And that Nirvisesham Purusham Satyam Aksharam Divyohya Murtaha Ityadina Mantrena Uktva. Actually, the word Uktva should be read after the word Satyam. So, Nirvichesham Purusham Satyam Uktva Aksharam. Then we have to continue the sentence. In fact, we can bring in the first word Sanchepataha also here, which means briefly, and connect it also with Uktva. These are all, ways and means to do the Anvaya so that the idea is put in one sentence for us to understand. So Bhashyakara feels that we are all experts in understanding all these things. But then when we are studying, we try to, connect the relevant parts in the mantra. So Purusham Satyam Sanchepatah Uktva. Uktva means which was revealed, mentioned, talked about. So having briefly talked about such a Brahman, and where was it talked about? He again reminds us. He says, in case you have forgotten the mantra Divyohya Murtaha, he puts it within quotation. Ityadina Mantrena. Through the mantra beginning with Divyohya Murtaha, referring to mantra number 2.1.2. The mantra before the previous mantra. So, through this second mantra, Akaranam Brahman, the Nirvishesham Purusham Satyam Aksharam was talked about. And thereafter, Punaha Tadeva Savisesham Vistarena Vaktavyam iti Pravavrite. Punaha means once again. Tadeva Savisesham, the very same Nirgunam Brahma alone Tad eva. Tad here stands for Nirgunam Brahma. Eva alone. So the very same Nirgunam Brahma alone, which is Nirgunam from Paramarthika Drishti, the very same Nirgunam Brahma from Vyavaharika Drishti becomes what? Saguna Ishwaraha. So, Tadeva means the very same Nirgunam Brahma is Savishesham, becomes Sagunam, Saguna Brahma. Because once anything comes to Vyavaharika plane, it cannot escape Maya. Even Brahman cannot escape Maya when it is looked from Vyavaharika Drishti, transactional point of view. There is no Nirgunam Brahma in Vyavaharika Drishti. So in Vyavaharika field, there is Saguna Ishwara, there is Saguna Jivaha, and there is Saguna Jagat also. Everything is Saguna. Jiva, Jagat, Ishwara, everything is Saguna in the transactional plane. Therefore, Tadeva, the very same Brahman, is Savishesham, known as Ishwara. And therefore, we must remember that when we use the word Nirgunam Brahma and Sagunam Brahma, even though we are using two different words, we should not imagine Nirgunam Brahman is something sitting there, Sagunam Brahma is something else sitting here. There is no physical distance between Nirgunam Brahma and Saguna Ishwara. And therefore, Tadeva, Nirgunam Brahman alone is Savishesham. That itself is called Ishwara. Just a name change happens. Nirguna Brahma has taken a bath, just come out, wears the dresses, he becomes Saguna Ishwara. That's all. And that Ishwara, Vistarena Bhaktavyam, has to be taught elaborately. So earlier he said Sanshepataha briefly. Now he says Vistarena. That means what? What was earlier taught briefly in the second mantra, the very same thing is taught elaborately from the third mantra up to the end of this section. So Vistarena means elaborately, Vaktavyam means should be taught. Iti, with this intention, iti abhiprayena pravavrite. Pravavrite is, Shruti is proceeding. Shruti has proceeded, it has developed, it has started explaining the Sagunam Brahma, Sagunam Ishwara elaborately. Now the question would be, why should the Upanishad do all these things? It could have taught briefly and said, Purnamada, Purnamidam, etc. Where is the need for elaboration? For that, Bhashyakara gives the reason. He says, any teaching must have both the brief version as well as elaborate version. And therefore he says, Sankshepa Vistaroktaha Padartaha. Here the word Padartaha means any teaching, any subject matter. Uktaha is taught in twofold ways. What is that? Sankshepa Vistaraha, both briefly and elaborated. So the general pattern in all teachings that is used is, the teaching is first given very briefly. Then elaboration is done. Then sometimes again, the teaching is given briefly, then further elaboration is done. This is the method of communication. And when we are talking about Acharyas coming in the Sampradaya, they are all trained in this kind of communication, so that you don't suddenly jump to some concept which nobody can understand. The entire Upanishad teaching is like leading a person, an old person, little bit unstable in his walk, holding his hands and carefully guiding him through a pool of water or something on the road. So sometimes we have to stop, go back, and then again revise what we have learned, and then further elaboration is done. This is the teaching methodology. And in this Upanishad, we experience this in the second chapter. Second chapter is Sankshepaha. I'm talking about, Bhagavad Gita. Second chapter, whole teaching is given by Krishna in a very brief form. Then Krishna elaborates this teaching. And again, in the 18th chapter, he summarizes. So, second and 18th chapter are Sankshepam. From 3rd to 17th is Vistaraha. And only when it is taught like that, Sukhadi Gamyaha Bhavati, it becomes easily comprehensible. Sukha means easy, Adhigamya means comprehensible. And a teacher is also considered to be a skilled or expert teacher only when he has the capacity to give any teaching in one sentence also, and give the same teaching for 20 years. Such a teacher is supposed to be the best teacher, because it is easy to sort of condense and briefly state. Elaboration has no limit. You can bring in so many examples, so many explanations, so many corollaries which we can derive from what the Upanishad teaching is. So you can go on elaborating till the student gets bored. Anyway, so that is what Bhashyakara does when he condenses the entire Vedanta in one sentence. He says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mitra, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Whole Vedanta is over in one sentence. In fact, this is only half of a shloka. In half a shloka, he gives the entire Vedanta. And he gives the same Vedanta in Viveka Chudamani in about 595 verses. We have studied Viveka Chudamani, of course, not the 595. Selected ones, 108, we have studied. And all that is about what? Explanation, what is Jiva, what is Ishvara, what is Jagat, and the interrelationship between all the three entities. That is all Vedanta is all about. So elaboration is very important because students can understand that way only. And here he gives the example of this mode of teaching. He says, Sutra Bhashya Uktivat. Like the teaching in the form of Sutram and Bhashyam. Vyasacharya gave the entire Vedanta in the form of 555 sutras, aphorisms. In Brahma Sutra, which can be printed as a small booklet. The very same Brahma Sutra, when it is taken with commentaries, sub-commentaries, etc., can fill a small library. We have got so many books, books after books after books, written by various acharyas, various commentators, various interpretations from all Visishta Advaitam standpoint, Advaitam standpoint. So much material is there just for Brahma Sutra that one library can accommodate only the literature available on Brahma Sutra. What to talk of Upanishads? So Bhashyakara says that just like Brahma Sutra is Sutra and then Bhashya, similarly, the teaching has to be done like that. Sanshepataha Vistarena. That's what he says. So now Bhashyakara, having thus given a general introduction to the entire section, he now moves on to give the introduction to the fourth mantra. So the previous path up to Sutra Bhashyo Uktivat Iti is general introduction to the entire section. And the last sentence of the Sangati Bhashyam is introduction to the fourth mantra of this section. He says, Yaha api pratamajat pranat hiranya garbhat jayate andasyantaha virat saha tatvena lakshyamanopi etasmadeva purushat jayate etanmayascha ityedat artham aha. He says this mantra talks about the creation of Virat. So what he says in the previous mantra, the creation of Hiranyagarbha has been talked about. What is Hiranyagarbha? Brahmaji. And the creation of the elements and elementals was talked about. Now, some of you may have a doubt. How come you say previous mantra talked about Hiranyagarbha? We never heard the word Hiranyagarbha while discussing the previous mantra. So on what basis is Bhashyakara saying Hiranyagarbha was talked about in the previous mantra? So he clarifies that and says that the previous mantra talked about prana, which at the samashti level is called Hiranyagarbha. Because we have seen in Tattva Bodha itself, samashti sukshma sharira is called Hiranyagarbha. So therefore, when the mantra says etasmat jayate pranaha, it means etasmat Hiranyagarbhat jayate. And that is why Hiranyagarbha is called Pratamajaha, the firstborn. Firstborn from Ishvara, because Sukshma Prapancha is firstborn out of Karana Prapancha. And therefore, Hiranyagarbha is called Pratamajaha. And from that Pratamajaha, Prana is born. So that was the previous mantra. Now in this mantra it says, not only all the Sukshma Shariras, Sukshma Prapancha is born, the Virat is also born from that Hiranyagarbha alone. And therefore, out of whom is Virat born? If such a question is asked, the immediate answer should be Virat is born out of Hiranyagarbha. And here Bhashyakara says that even though superficially looking, Virat is born out of Hiranyagarbha and Hiranyagarbha is born of Ishvara, therefore Virat is also ultimately the grandchild of Ishvara only. And therefore the Moola Karana of Virat also is Ishvara only. The only difference is Hiranyagarbha is directly born out of Ishvara, whereas Virat is indirectly born out of Ishvara, separated by Hiranyagarbha. So they all belong to the same Gotra. Now let us look at the Bhashyam. Yopi, as I said, should be read as Yaha Api. And it should be connected with Virat, which comes later in the sentence. So Yaha Virat, that Virat. And of course, we must by now know what is meant by Virat. I don't need to explain. Because if I go on explaining all these things again and again, we will be repeating right from Tattva Bodha everything. So Upanishad learning continuity is necessary. So we have seen Virat is Samashti Stula Prapancha Sahita Chaitanyam. Visishta Chaitanyam is called Virat, Vishwarupaham. And how is that Virat born? He says, Hiranyagarbha Jayate. That Virat is born out of Hiranyagarbha. And that Hiranyagarbha has got two titles. Pratamajat Pranat. Who is known as Pratamajaha, means the firstborn, which we saw in the very first mantra of the Upanishad. Om Brahma Devanam Pratamajah Sambhabhuva. Idea was said in the very first mantra. So the Upanishad itself begins with Hiranyagarbha Srishti by the name Brahma. So Pratamajaha is the name, one name of Hiranyagarbha. Another name is Pranaha, who is also known as Pranaha. And from such a Hiranyagarbha, Virat Jayate. And therefore, Virat also is born, though not directly born out of Hiranyagarbha. In fact, in some texts you will find a little more elaborate explanation. They will say Hiranyagarbha gives birth to Brahmandam, the cosmic egg. So first the Brahmandam is born out of Hiranyagarbha. And that Brahmandam is called Andam because the shape of the cosmos is elliptical. And from that Andam alone, Virat evolves. So Ishvara to Hiranyagarbha, Hiranyagarbha to Andam, and Andam to Virat. And this idea, Bhashyakara also brings in the prayer sloka for his Bhashyam on Bhagavad Gita. There he says, Narayana Paro Vyaktat Andam Avyakta Sambhavam Andasyantastvime Loka hai Sapta Dvipacha Medini. So that is the prayer sloka of Bhashyakara of Bhagavad Gita. So it doesn't matter. Here the Upanishad has taken a shortcut. Bhashyakara also follows that. Doesn't talk about Andam and all that. But for our understanding, we can say Andam is born out of Hiranyagarbha. So Bhashyakara says, Andasyantaha Virat. Andasyantaha means within Brahmandam. Antaha means within. Within this Brahmandam, the Virat evolved. And the details of this process of evolution we get in Aitreya Upanishad, first chapter. And now Bhashyakara says Saha. Saha here refers to Virat. Tattvantaritattvena lakshyamanopi. Api, even though, Tattva refers to Hiranyagarbha Tattvam. Antarita means intervened, separated. Lakshyamanaha means indicated. So even though it is indicated that there is an intervention by Hiranyagarbha Tattvam between Ishvara and Virat, that means the relationship between Ishvara and Virat is not direct because it is intervened by Hiranyagarbha Tattvam. Therefore, what we have to understand is Virat is not directly born out of Ishvara. Therefore, between Ishvara and Virat, Karya Karana Sambandha is not direct, but it is intervened by an intermediary principle which is called Hiranyagarbha Tattvam. Unlike in the case of relationship between Ishvara and Hiranyagarbha, where there is nothing standing in between them. So even though the relationship between Ishvara and Virat is indirect, he says, Etasmadeva Purushat. From that Purusha alone, Jayate is born. So in the sequence of events, even though there is an intervening factor in the form of Hiranyagarbha between Ishvara and Virat, in the ultimate analysis, that Virat is also born of that Purusha alone. That Karanam Brahma alone. You must remember, here in the context of creation, the word Purusha is used to indicate Karanam Brahman. Then he says, Etan Mayascha Ityetat Arthamaha. Etan Mayascha means Etat Swarupaha. By saying this, Bhashyakara wants to highlight the fact that Swarupataya, there is no difference between Nirguna Brahman and Virat. Because Swarupam of Karanam is always inheres in the Swarupa of the Karyam, whether direct Karyam or indirect Karyam. Isn't it? For example, a lump of gold is turned into a lovely necklace. Gold is Karanam, necklace is Karyam. And the Swarupa of Karanam gold inheres in the Karyam necklace. Then the next stage, the necklace is melted and converted into a set of bangles. Now we cannot say the bangles have been made from the lump of gold because the bangles have been created from the necklace. So there is an intervening factor in the form of necklace between the lump of gold and the bangles. But if we say that the bangles are Karyam and necklace is Karanam, it will be incomplete statement because eventually the lump of gold is the Karanam and the Swarupa of the Karanam inheres in the Swarupa of the bangles also, which is gold. And therefore, whether the Karyam is direct or indirect, the Swarupa of Karanam will always inhere in the Karyams. So similarly here, even though there is an intervening factor in the form of Hiranyagarbha, the Swarupa of Brahman will inhere in Virat also. And that is why Bhashyakara says, Etanmayascha ityedat artamaha. Ityedat artamaha means this is the implicit meaning which is stated. And there is a reason why he says that, because in the mantra, the word Sarva Bhutantaratma comes at the end. And he says, when you read that word, may you understand it in this manner, that Virat is born out of Brahman. And the nature of Virat and the nature of Brahman is the same. And there is one more purpose of this mantra. The first purpose, as I said, is to establish that Virat is born out of Brahman. And the second one is the Upanishad wants to talk about the nature of Virat. And therefore, Bhashyakara says, Tamcha Vishinashti. Vishinashti means definition or description of Tam, that Virat. So the mantra also gives a description of this Virat. And this is how Bhashyakara introduces the mantra 2.1.4. So now let us chant the mantra. You can all unmute. Agnir Murdha
Agnirmurta
Chakshushi
Chakshushi
Chandra Suryau
Chandrasuryau
Dishaha
Dishaha
Shrotre
Shrotre
Vagvid Vag Vagvi Vagvivritascha
Vagvivrtasya
Vedaha
Vedaha
Vayuhu Pranaha
Vayuhu Pranaha
Hridayam
Hridayam
Vishwamasya
Vishwamasya
Padbhyam Prithvi
Padyam
Prithvi
Prithvi
Hesha
Kesha
Sarvabhutantaratma.
Sarvabhutantaratma.
Now I will give you the Padacheda and then the gist of the mantra. Padacheda is very easy. Agni Murdah Chakshushi Chandra Suryau Disha Srotre Vak Vivrita Cha Veda Vayuhu Prana Hridayam Vishwam Asya Padbhyam Prithvi Yesha Sarva Bhutantaratma. So, as we have noted, this section of the Upanishad is talking about Srishti elaborately. Creation to establish that Brahman is the Karanam and the whole universe, both subtle and gross, is the Karya. So that we can arrive at Eka Vijnanena Sarvam Vijnanam Bhavati. You remember the question of the student right in the beginning in the first chapter. By knowing one cause, all the effects are as well known. With that intention, Brahman was introduced in the first two mantras, both Nirgunam Brahma and Sagunam Brahma, and the sequence of Srishti Prakriya was briefly explained as Nirgunam Brahman, Akaranam Brahman to Sagunam Brahman, that is Karanam Brahman, then Hiranya Garbha, subtle universe consisting of Panchabhutas, and all this was revealed till the previous mantra. Now, even though the Upanishad has not talked about Virat, Bhashyakara in his Sangati Bhashyam has touched upon the creation of Virat as a prelude to this fourth mantra. And therefore, we can take it that this mantra is talking about Virat Srishti or Vishwarupa Ishvara Srishti. So therefore, this mantra is a description of Virat, which very much resembles the Dhyana Shloka obtaining in Vishnu Sahasranama. If you remember, Bhupadav Yasya Nabhihi Viyat Asura Nilaschandra Suryaucha Netre, etc. Right? Now we know the source of that Dhyana Shloka in Vishnu Sahasranama. It is this mantra alone. Of course, we cannot say this mantra alone because similar mantras occur in Chandogya and other Upanishads also. But anyhow, Vishnu Sahasranama, all those Dhyana Shlokas are based upon the content taken from Upanishads only. So here the whole universe is taken as Virat Purusha because according to our Shastram, behind the inert universe, there is this Chaitanya Tattvam inherent. And therefore the universe is looked upon as the body of Virat Ishvara. Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, we are studying, it's all the same idea. So if the whole universe is the body of Vishwarupa Ishvara, then we can visualize the higher Swargaloka as the head of that Virat Ishvara, the lower Bhuloka as Pada or feet of Virat, and various intermediary regions can be visualized as different limbs of Virat, and the description given is very simple and easy to follow. So here the Upanishad imagines Virat as a person. It's a poetic way of approaching the subject. Pujya Swamiji says Shruti has to be poetic because Shruti cannot cover all details of creation. How many things can Shruti say? This building is Virat, that building is Virat, this river is Virat, mountain is Virat, tree is Virat, that tree is Virat. It's endless. Therefore, Shruti becomes poetic. So through poetry, Shruti tries to cover everything. So the description of Virat starts. Agnihi Murdha. This now we go to the word meanings of the mantra. Agnihi Murdha hai. Murdha means the head. As we know, Agnihi means the fire. But here the word Agnihi does not mean the fire. It means not even the head. Agni here is in the sense of heaven. Why? Because effulgent heavenly world is also called Agnihi. And this is based upon a Shruti Vakya which Bhashyakara will quote in his Bhashya. How can you say Agni? Agni means fire. How can you say it refers to Sargaloka? Bhashyakara will say, hey, wait. I will show you Chandogya Upanishad reference where heaven is called Agni. So he will take the support of a mantra from Chandogya Upanishad to support this interpretation. So Agni Murda represents the head of Virat, which is Swargaloka, heaven. And why does the Upanishad say Agni Murda means heaven? Because when we consider the whole description of Virat in the mantra as a person, logically we can conclude that here Agni Murda refers to heaven, the topmost angam of the person, of Virat. This idea will unfold as we proceed. Then Chakshushi Chandra Suryau. I think it is time. We will continue the word meanings in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Mudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavada everyone. Thank you all very much.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದः ಮಹೋದಯ.
Hari Om.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದः
Thank you.
ಗುರುಜಿ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದः.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaste. Pranam.
Namaste. Hari Om. Namaste.
It's nice to see. I mean, you have done a detailed Vyakhana on Vishnu Sahasranamam in those days, but it's nice to listen to this part where in the Upanishad also the same thing is being explained.
Yeah.
Nice.
See, all our scriptures are interconnected.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
when you read those scriptures only, you come to know the interconnection between them. The idea expressed is the same in all scriptures.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Hari Om, Guruji.
Don't think any other hands have gone up. So we can close the session and continue in the next week. Okay. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
ಹರಿ ಓಂ ಗುರುಜಿ.
Hari Om.